TC, please note that I'm back to my stylish self today.
You are back to your stylish self, mock turtleneck and all.
Appearing a bit, thank you for that. The regular turtlenecks, I'm not tall enough.
Oh, is that right?
They come all the way up to here on me.
Well, they're supposed to be a little scrunchy. It's okay.
Like Katharine Hepburn.
Yeah, I like that. I'm big on turtlenecks.
Ladies and gentlemen, subscribe, please, to the Smerconish.com daily newsletter. I know, you're already subscribed. Turn on a friend. Like, make today the day you forward it to somebody. Like, hey, are you registered for this? Because it's free and it's great. Also, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Ring the bell if you want to be notified when I'm live, and then you'll never miss a thing. And of course, we thank our friend Steve Cordasco. TC now busy planning her retirement. I hope I'm sure she's relying on Steve and John Walker and the Cordasco team at Mercer Advisors. They can guide you through an important transition in your life and create a tailored financial plan so that you can enjoy retirement with the comfort to which you're accustomed. But they can't do it unless you call them. Here's the telephone number. Write this down. 855-558-3500, Cordasco Financial Network. That's a trade name owned by Mercer Global Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Securities are offered through Andrew Garrett, Inc., which is not affiliated with Cordasco Financial Network or Mercer Advisors. Client experiences vary. Successful outcomes are not guaranteed. So tonight, as we're discussing State of the Union address, in the last 2 days, two really interesting stories, one an opinion piece, one written as a news story, 3-person byline, made all the more interesting and relevant because of the outlet. One of them is an opinion column that says Joe Biden has done a great job and should not run for re-election. And the other questions Kamala Harris and whether she's up to the task of being VP and president. What's so significant? They both appeared in the New York Times. You know, if they came from a conservative publication, well, a conservative publication wouldn't give Joe Biden credit for his achievements. But when it's the Times saying these things, you know, you pay attention. The first of them was written by Michelle Goldberg today, and that made the cut for Smerconish.com. It gives Joe Biden credit for a long list of accomplishments and then says, quote, Biden has been a great president. He's made good on an uncommon number of campaign promises. He should be celebrated on Tuesday, meaning the State of the Union tonight, but he should not run again. Why shouldn't he run again? Michelle Goldberg says, it's hard to ignore the toll of Biden's years, no matter how hard elected Democrats try. In some ways, the more sympathetic you are to Biden, the harder it can be to watch him stumble over his words, a tendency that can't be entirely explained by his stutter. Longwell said Democrats in her focus group talked about holding their breath every time he speaks. And while Biden was able to campaign virtually in 2020, in 2024, we will almost certainly be back to a grueling, real-world campaign schedule, which he would have to power through while running the country. It's a Herculean task for a 60-year-old and a near impossible one for an octogenarian. Remember, TC, that split screen that we had in 2020, where in the midst of the pandemic, and I said it at the time, Biden was using effectively to his advantage, being in Delaware, speaking only in that gymnasium. Do you remember the circles on the floors?
Or the basement. I mean, it was one of the other.
Or the basement.
Right? Yeah.
And Trump was barnstorming the country.
Right.
Rally after rally after rally. And I believe, and I said this at the time, that Trump earned some begrudging respect from people like, holy crap, look at him go.
Look at him go.
Right. And he still seems like he's ready to go.
Right.
So I thought Michelle Goldberg made an interesting thing. Like, fast forward a year, what's it look like?
Right.
With Trump doing, rally after, if it is Trump, rally after rally after rally. And by the way, our poll question today, I'll get to that in a moment, raises that question. All right, then there was the New York Times yesterday. Zolan Kano Youngs, Katie Rogers, and Peter Baker headline, Kamala Harris is trying to define her vice presidency. Even her allies are tired of waiting. Again, from the Times as a news story. The painful reality for Ms. Harris is that in private conversations over the past few months, dozens of Democrats in the White House, on Capitol Hill, and around the nation, including some who helped put her on the party's ticket, said she had not risen to the challenge of proving herself as a future leader of the party, much less the country. Even some Democrats, whom her own advisors referred reporters to for supportive quotes, confided privately they had lost hope in her. In a really foreboding pair of pieces in the Times about the top of the Democratic ticket and the number 2 position. Yesterday, 21,139 votes cast. Was the Chinese spy balloon a mistake or a deliberate act of aggression? 87% and change said it was a deliberate act of aggression. The update on this story, the top U.S. general responsible for protecting North American skies, meaning the head of NORAD, said yesterday past incursions by Chinese balloons went undetected by the Pentagon, exposing what he characterized as a worrisome deficiency that must be addressed. I mean, the initial stories were, well, it happened on Trump's watch too. And then Trump said, no, it didn't, not as far as I know, and so too did Mike Esper and the people around him. Now, it did occur on Trump's watch. He was never told, and now we're learning from the head of NORAD they didn't detect it. Here's what I don't know, and I've read in on the stories. So how do they know now? Like, what exactly did they go back and consult and say, oh, look at this, we missed it? That's a remaining mystery for me.
I actually, wait a minute. That is a really good question.
Every once in a while. I'm a broken
Okay.
clock. Every once in a while. How about today's poll question? Would being indicted in connection with hush money paid to Stormy Daniels help or hurt Donald Trump's campaign? And what I'm really saying is, if he's only indicted for Stormy Daniels, if he's indicted in Fulton County, Georgia for the perfect phone call, if he's indicted for January 6th and he's indicted for Stormy Daniels, it's not going to matter. But when everything is said and done, all of these expenses, all of the time that went into looking at Trump in these different jurisdictions, if it's the Stormy Daniels hush money, by the way, preceding the 2016 campaign, where I believe it's a 5-year statute of limitations, and you say, well, wait a minute, Michael, 2016 and 5, let me do some ciphering. That would be 2021, and we're in 2023. How can that be? Good question. I put this to Ellie Honig last week when he was a guest on the program, and Ellie said to me that the working theory must be that the statute of limitations is told while he's president because you can't indict a sitting president. But that's untested. That is untested. From the Hill, New York District Attorney Alvin Bragg's latest moves suggest prosecutors are nearing a decision about charging former President Trump in connection with a $130,000 hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels before the 2016 presidential election. The Manhattan DA's office has escalated the fight by impaneling another grand jury in the case and presenting witnesses. DC, what do you think? What do you think if Trump gets indicted only for hush money paid to Stormy Daniels?
I think... have we already litigated that? Is that the question? In other words, in the court of public opinion.
Right.
And someone that I pay close attention to has sort of thought that would be like a, hey, good job, give you, high five.
Oh, he'd be thrilled, don't you think?
Right. So I think
Trump loves that story every time it comes up.
I think it's that third thing. I think a third of the people who are diehard Trump people, it'll be a help. I think the other third on the other side that are never Trumpers, it will hurt. The question is that middle.
Maybe they just don't care.
I think it'll hurt.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
go vote. With hurt. I'm going to go vote.
Go vote at Smerconish.com.
I will.
Go vote at Smerconish.com, where the lead story today is from the Associated Press. They asked ChatGPT what a State of the Union would look like, sound like, read like, if written by the likes of Shakespeare or Seinfeld. Kind of funny that I can put Seinfeld in that same quote with Shakespeare. So much being written about ChatGPT. TC, come on. I was ahead of the curve. It was like 3 weeks ago that I had ChatGPT write a commentary for me on CNN.
I'm seeing it all over.
And now everybody,
when I say now, I mean like yesterday. In other words, it's not like it was right after you did it. So you were really,
On the vanguard.
Sometimes I feel like I have to rein you in.
Yeah.
And like tamper you down. Not on this instance.
Thank you, TC.
Yeah, no problem.
From Mike Allen today, talking about ChatGPT, and now, now the big players in tech are stepping forward. Google yesterday announced several efforts to power search and other products using generative AI. Today, at an event at its Redmond, Washington headquarters, Microsoft is expected to detail how ChatGPT and other tools will feature prominently inside products such as Bing and Office. We need to do more about ChatGPT. I made reference yesterday when we did the headlines to the analyst who said, here are the jobs that are suffering and here are the jobs that are going to be safe. The short version is if you're a copywriter, you got a problem.
If you're a doctor, no problem.
Right. If you're a bricklayer, you have no problem. Just return my calls, please, because I can't find one.
How is that sidewalk going?
Remember our conversation last week with Virginia Soul Smith on fat shaming and childhood obesity?
So much attention.
We actually had a poll question: which is a more serious, lifelong problem for obese children, weight gain and corresponding health problems, or anti-fat bias and stigmatization? 19,000 voted that day, and 77% said that it was weight gain and corresponding health problems, but that's not the view of our guest. Anyway, I had that on the brain as I read a story which made the cut for Smerconish.com today about Universal Studios and a new Mario Kart ride. Now, listen to this, TC.
Okay, go ahead.
Safety rules could bar larger visitors from riding the new Mario Kart.
Oh.
The new attraction at Universal Studios Hollywood. Some are calling the requirements fat-phobic and absurd. The ride is based on the popular series of racing video games that will be part of the California theme park's upcoming Super Nintendo World. All right, fill in the blank at home.
Okay.
The ride can only accommodate people who have a blank waist in inches or smaller.
Oh.
And I must say, it's like one of these things, like the older I get, the younger certain ages sound. Like, oh my God, he died at 75? That's not old.
Super young.
Right? Okay, I have the same feeling about the waist.
Okay, so it's smaller than
I want to make it clear. I could ride the ride.
Okay.
But not by much.
Stop.
But not by much.
Stop with yourself.
No, seriously.
What is it, like miniature?
I have to believe it's a kid ride.
Now we're fat shaming kids?
I'm telling you, you've got to be at least 40 inches tall, and riders below 48 inches tall must have an adult companion.
Okay.
But it's the waistline that people are focusing on.
Which is what?
Are you ready for it?
I'm ready for it.
Okay. The ride can accommodate people who have a 40-inch waist or smaller.
I need a tape measure.
Oh, TC, come on. You got those rock hard abs.
No, but like, what is
you always love telling us about them.
What are you talking about? I'm asking about.
Bounce a quarter off those abs of yours.
How big is 40 inches?
It's not that big.
That's my point.
It's not that big.
Oh my God. What?
I'm here to tell you. It's not that big.
What are we talking about?
I got my 400th ride under my belt for Peloton.
Did you?
Well, I'm close.
Wait, this is exciting. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You were thinking you only had 4 to go. You had 14
inches.
to go.
40 inches.
40 inches.
Yeah. So I've got to hurry and get to Universal and ride.
Or you're going to start protesting.
The Mario Kart ride, or I'm going to be out there with a sign.
Right.
Okay. On the same issue of entertainment.
Yes.
How do you feel about this? AMC Theaters, where Adam Aaron, my friend, is the CEO.
Yes. What decision has he made?
I sat in Abby and Adam's Sixers seats.
Oh, nice.
And loved them.
I bet.
And Jalen Hurts was in the row in front of me.
I bet.
I was in the second row.
Wow.
So the seat I was in, I hope it's okay to reveal this.
You just did.
So the seat that I was in
boy.
is the seat that is, because Adam used to be the president of the 76ers. Now he's the president of AMC. He's been like the president of any number of big businesses.
Kind of like that.
Okay, anyway, I digress.
Your point.
So they are now rolling out something called Sightline, and they are going to charge different prices for different seats in the same theater. You want to be in the middle, you're paying more now than the woman or man in the front row.
So you already are getting assigned seats. Is that universal
I like
now?
that.
I like that a lot too.
I like that
because otherwise,
I hate
you know
the
me,
scramble.
have to be there so early.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're already getting assigned seats. So now it's like a theater. It's like a real
It's concert.
It's like a concert, right? You're paying. I mean, I gotta think it makes sense, right? It's a different experience if you're right smack dab in the middle versus.
It's just I just wonder like it doesn't matter that much to me other than being in the front row.
Right.
It doesn't matter that much.
But maybe you want an aisle.
I do.
Bathroom.
Oh no, I do want an aisle.
Okay,
I
so you're
I
gonna pay
definitely
extra
do
for
want
an
an aisle. I want an aisle always. Would I pay extra for an? Okay, but how much are we
I don't
talking?
know. I don't know how much we're talking. Does it say?
They're rolling it out this Friday in New York, Chicago, and Kansas City.
Okay.
It'll be expanded to all domestic AMC locations by the end of the year.
Wow. Okay.
On the subject of seat assignment comes this from the Daily Mail, also at Smerconish.com today.
You get it all.
I'm so proud of today's links and stories. They're all great.
It's a great mix.
And I picked them all, and
I
it
know
took
you
me
did.
a boatload of time.
You are a busy man.
Okay, a scientist has revealed your risk of dying on an airplane if it crashes depending
Is high.
on where you're
Full stop.
seated. No, it's not high. It's 1 in 11 million. That needs to be the first thing that I tell you.
Whoa.
1 in 11 million.
1 in 11 million that the plane crashes. If the plane crashes, then it's not 1 in 11 million. If the plane crashes, it's lights out.
The odds of dying in a plane crash, 1 in 11 million.
Right,
That's
but
how they write it.
Okay, but what they're saying is the odds of the plane crashing.
How about this? You're not going to die in a plane crash.
Right.
Okay?
That's
you're
the whole
You're
point.
getting struck by
You're
lightning.
fine. You're fine. You're
Okay,
winning,
now
you're winning
this
the lottery.
Number one thing I have to say is you're not going to die in a plane crash.
Okay,
Number
perfect.
2 thing I have to say is
Right.
that the chances of dying in an aircraft accident have less to do with where you sit and more to do with the circumstances surrounding the crash.
Okay. Wow.
Having said that,
Where
you
should you
can boost your odds.
By what?
Okay. An aviation expert reveals a 44% fatality rate for travelers sitting in the aisle seats in the middle of the craft, compared with 28% for central rear seats.
So
You want to sit in the back in this. You want to be in the middle seat in the back.
because you're going down.
You need the buffer of
right.
the Super Mario people who can't get on the ride. 40-inch plus waist next to you.
I think
You need the girth of your fellow passengers.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
The answer is no on all fronts.
He said because the aisle seats do not offer a buffer on one side, the passenger will likely be struck with crash properties.
Great.
So sit in the middle seat in the back.
By the
Or
bathroom.
next to the bathroom door in the back, which is where I have been assigned on any number of occasions. And
There's more?
And there is this is really great. What happens if this is the Washington Post now I'm crediting with this story? What happens if the TSA finds weed in your bag?
Oh, you're in trouble.
Imagine you are flying from location A to location B and weed is legal in both.
Okay.
Can you fly with weed?
Boston to New York.
Okay,
There
fine.
you go.
No,
No.
you can't because
the skies are unfriendly.
right, because the feds still have, weed listed as being illegal.
And do they look for it? Do they
No.
hunt it out? Oh.
No.
Oh.
Let me explain.
Oh, please explain.
So the TSA, the FAA, and if you're on an international flight, Customs and Border Patrol, CBP, are all federal entities. That triumvirate of those responsible for flight are feds. And weed remains illegal for them. Now, what's going to happen if I use LAX as an example? So you're at LAX and the TSA, which says we don't look for drugs. We're interested in explosives, not drugs. It's like it's a hassle for us if we even find
Right,
your
I
drug.
don't want to look at the drugs.
Okay, but now because it spills out of your bag,
Oh, shoot.
like
It
there's
just reeks.
weed.
It just reeks.
And let's
The
imagine
dog's like, woof, woof.
Let's imagine they call the police, and let's imagine the police respond. Okay, this is like a law school exam.
Okay,
This is like a law school exam.
paying attention.
Because I can't imagine that you have like an ounce of weed, and now the police are even going to show up when the TSA calls. But if they do, what are they going to arrest you for? Because weed's legal. So it's totally circular.
Can they arrest you once you get on the plane?
You're not getting on the plane because TSA found your weed in my hypothetical, when you go through the metal detector
So that means you're
and
planning.
the conveyor.
But it's legal to own a knife. It's legal to own a gun, but you can't bring it on a plane. So
You're not on the plane. I'm still in the airport.
Yeah, but you're planning to bring it on the plane because you're going through TSA.
No, I'm not. I'm planning to smoke it in the bathroom when I get to the
smoke
Arby's.
It. Arby's, you can't smoke it in the
Bottom line, you gotta change this disconnect between the feds and the state. Remember when I brought it up to Kellyanne Conway when Trump was still in office and she was their drug czar, and she looked at me like I had a third eye.
I forgot.
Do you remember that?
I forgot about that.
Yeah, didn't want to have that conversation. And finally, I'm a sucker for the lists of the best place to live. This one stood out because, and it's posted at Smerconish.com, because I don't know, the 5 places, with no disrespect to any of them, are just not places that I would have expected.
Except for one. Which one? Helen and Woody.
Okay, all right, I'll go in ascending order.
Yep.
Number 5, Colorado Springs, Colorado.
I could live there.
Number 4, Fayetteville, Arkansas. Number 3, Huntsville, Alabama.
Who knew?
Number 2, I don't think I've spent any time in Alabama. I wonder if I were to give a talk in Alabama, would anybody show up?
Unclear.
We get calls from Alabama.
We do get calls from Alabama.
I'd like to go to Alabama.
Okay.
Sweet home Alabama.
Travel Squad?
Even though Leonard Skinner were from Jacksonville.
Travel Squad?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, good.
Okay.
There
Colorado
we
Springs,
go.
Fayetteville, Huntsville, Raleigh, North Carolina is number 2. The Golden Triangle.
Love it. Like it. The Golden Triangle?
Yeah.
Is that what we're calling
What
it?
is it?
Research Triangle.
Research Triangle.
You?
And number 1, Ann Arbor, Michigan.
People love
Ann Arbor, Michigan.
They love Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Yeah, well, number
Love
1
it.
place to live according to, experts in study finds.
Yeah.
All right, there's a lot of great content at Smerconish.com. If Donald Trump is indicted for the hush money payments to Stormy Daniels, and that's the only thing he's indicted for, is that helping him or hurting him? Please subscribe to the Smerconish.com daily newsletter and share it with a friend. Subscribe to YouTube as well. Give TC some play on her podcast,
Yay.
TC After Dark. See ya.